when Zoe told me that it was sort of 3 minutes, I thought, I couldn't even recite the VIN number of my vehicle in under 3 minutes. It's an old car and the VIN number is very short. But look, I saw this as an opportunity to join the dots, really, because, a lot of what I do, I couldn't do without the support of such a prodigious source of amazing freshwater volunteers operating in various care groups across the Rohi and around the Manukau. I work in the environment, but with Auckland Council, environmental services, but I also live in French Bay, and I've been there for about 12 years and absolutely love the place. And so Zoe has kindly given me a little slot to talk about the stuff that powers up the Manukau's ecology and the stuff that gives the Manukau real biodiversity cred, because a lot of those beautiful that labyrinth of wee inlets that you can probe in your kayak and your wee shallow draft boats, once you get up into them, up and through the mangroves, they really start to sort of change into something quite special. And these inlets, cruised by banded rail and patrolled by Harry Hawks, and they wouldn't be nearly as prodigious as they are without those freshwater inflows. And me and my little crew, with the oddball family that passed up the opportunity to sit at channel marks fishing, wee boats bristling with rods. Instead, we sort of, spent our time cruising these lovely wee inlets. And, if you probe far enough up, a little muddy in a small boat of shallow draft, and which is quite possible on an incoming tide, you can pass beneath the landing road bridge, and although the channel narrows, you can get as far as Hui Road. And it was on one such foray that the stream's potential as an inanga spawning ground became clear. And so that happens right at the point that the incoming tidal pulse is defeated by the stream's gradient, the increasing grade, and also by the stream's flow. And that's where inanga spawn, where the freshwater and the saltwater coalesce. And how fortunate that that special little zone intersects with Megan Fitter's stream boundary. And Megan's here today. Megan and her crew, who live beside the Waitua stream, rat trapper extraordinaires. Megan and her band of followers have actually surrounded the spawning ground. Well, they actually went up and they found the spawning ground, first of all, which is no easy task. And now that spawning ground is protected by a halo of traps. So those inanga eggs, they reside on the stream banks and out of water for a full month before the next spring tide comes in and sweeps them back into the awa. And over that period, they're completely defenceless. They've got the only thing that really saves them is by being in really sort of thick vegetation. It's that whole energy budget thing. If an animal has to spend more energy searching than it does from gaining nutrition, then it won't try. But unfortunately, a lot of these spawning grounds are quite reduced with the vegetation. It's been grazed or it's been modified by development. And so, we need to sort of go above and beyond to try and drive down all those rats and mice, because those rats and mice and hedgehogs have a whole month to actually dine out on these eggs. They can come back at their leisure. Even one animal could, easily sort of empty out an egg nest over that month period. And so further east, closer to home, more good news. We've got this lovely wee stream called Pateroa Stream that runs out at Titirangi Beach. And young Felix, who lives over the hill, was speculating for eels. I won't say fishing, because I think he was genuinely wanting to catch these guys, to have a look at them. And he chanced upon this giant kōkapu, all 350 mils of it. I spied this on this news on the Jungle Telegraph. So giant kōkapu are one of 5 whitebait species or kokopu species, galaxids. It's the largest. It's also one of our rarest, and that one individual fish survived it all is amazing, because it sort of survived catastrophic freshwater main bursts that disgorged torrents of sediment into the stream. But a silent, that solitary giant kokopu, it's hardly a population, is it? And unfortunately, on the mainland, this scenario is repeating itself over and over again, where we have a lot of streams with one, two, and seldom three fish left in them. And so the odds went that flash for this population, if you can call it a population, to sort of to continue. Enter the wonderful folks from east of Zigzag. That's an offshoot of the STNN, and with bait traps and bait stations placed up and down the Pateroa stream and expertly tended, I received the news that 2 juvenile giant kokopu had been caught by the whitebait connection, another fantastic outfit that helped with locating and protecting whitebait spawning areas. So, from small beginnings grow great things, and I bring you the power of the community. We couldn't do it without you. In Auckland, short-jaw kokopu, another whitebait species, even rarer than giant kokopu, even rarer. And with climate change looming, we lost one of our 4 populations from the Waitakere Ranges in Cyclone Gabrielle. So we sort of need an insurance policy against climate change for these guys. And so what we've done is from using captive bred individuals, we've created another wee population above the Huia Reservoir, and with support from Te Karawa Maki and a whole lot of other people, we placed 1,000 of these wee guys into this vacant and inaccessible habitat high above the upper Huia Reservoir. I'm a wee bit nervous. We just took an eDNA sample about 2 weeks ago. We're just waiting for the results to see how they've fared. They've been in there since June, and so we'll soon find out how they're doing there. So, look, the reality check here is that it isn't all beer and skittles. My talk today is focused just on those streams draining the Waitakere Ranges. They're all reference state streams and pretty good nick. But, we have a hell of a lot of streams that are running through urban developments that are devegetated, that are channelized. You've seen the kinds of streams that flow into the Manukau. But one incredible example of community in action is this incredible stream called Tararata Creek. Now it's called a creek, but it's really a sort of a long straight drain. And in that drain we found 5 giant kokopu about 4 or 5 years ago, and they were found by Julia Tuanui. And Julia is here today, and those 5 fish were huddled in shopping market trolleys. The only habitat available to them in the stream. And so, with the help of Kaingaora, who are redeveloping the land on either side of that stream, and they agreed to our request to install a bevy of large wood, and the large wood is going in there to create daytime habitat for the fish, but also to help influence the channel form by creating force pools and a bit of depth variation in the stream that is basically a drain and is sort of the same depth throughout. I know I've gone well over it, I'm very sorry, but I'm nearly there. But that stream really has its challenges. It's got huge problems with cross connections and sewage overflows. I mean, I received the odd call from Julia to say, look, things are looking a bit grim here. I don't know that those poor old fish have been seen in a while. These are the things that take a long time to remediate. We can create habitat relatively quickly, but it takes a long time to try and restore the water quality in these streams. But still we roll on, and with that help from the White Paint Connection and care group members, I have huge optimism that we will keep protecting these incredibly important habitats, and really amazing to have also these lovely young people stand up here today and tell us about all their endeavour. One of the hardest things for us, if we go and restore a stream, what we're going to try and do is increase the retention of organic residues in those streams by creating these amazing snags using wood. But if we don't manage the rubbish issue, we're just going to have streams that have turned from what they are presently, which in many cases is almost gutters with concrete inverts, into rubbish streams festooned with rubbish, unfortunately. So these are they're big ticket items. They're very hard to get that behaviour change. But I'm really confident with such inspiring individuals as you guys that we'll get there eventually. All right, thank you very much.